Boom. Radical Vision for Disabilities is back in the house. Today is what? Today is Friday, April 2nd, and I'm so glad you're with us. We've got a great show lined up for you for today. I also want to tell you a little bit about what we have coming up in the coming weeks. So we've got some great speakers that are going to be coming on, as well as myself, and we're going to try. And we're going to have a great lineup. So I want to tell you a little bit about that at the end of this episode. But I really want to bring on our next guest. And our next guest knows a lot about disabilities and knows a lot about caregiving for those with disabilities. She is none other than April Giauque. And there she is.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm well. Thank you. Thanks for the invite and coming back. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yes. So thank you for being on. I really appreciate this. So April, you have something special about you. You have a large group of children that you have raised. And so tell us a little bit about them.
Okay. So I have 9 kids. And
9?
I have 9 children. It's true. Look, let's see. Can I even, I don't know. Can I have a picture? I think I do. Yeah. Okay, this is an old picture, but I think I've got it. Yay. Look, I didn't grab kids off the street and said, hey, will you be a part of this picture?
Wow. That's awesome.
That's really us. That's really us. And they might come in during the, during all of this great conversation because we're all home today. So, and it's my wedding anniversary, 12 years. So
happy anniversary.
Woo-hoo.
That's awesome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So being a mom of 9 kids, I started off with this whole journey of being a mom like any of us. Wow, we're going to have a kid. Oh, now here he or she is. So what do I do now? I guess we start to raise the child. And as we're doing this raising of the children, we start to notice some things, or maybe at birth there were some challenges, just kind of depends. So my first 3 boys all have autism. They're on the autism spectrum. And so with autism, it's not like the day of the hospital, anything, love, hug, kiss, you're on your way. And, the hospital says goodbye and you're off for your adventure. And as time starts to peel back some of the interesting experiences of life, you start to discover and notice, that was a little weird. I wonder why he's biting himself and banging his head. I'm going to take note of that. Right? And so pretty soon you start asking questions and finding out with specialists and doctors, other things of what's happening. And I'm fine with a label and a diagnosis to help identify what I can do best to care for the person. That's all that I look for, is the searching for understanding and a label and a diagnosis is just to know what ways and options I have to treat, to live with, to grow, and to experience, right? It's not to say that this is who they are, right? They don't become autistic. It's just part of it. As you can hear, some of my kids, they're like wanting to play right now.
I hear somebody.
You hear them.
Are they close?
They are close. Let's see. Yeah, it's just kind of fun how everyone's, hey, who's that? There's Miss Rosie. And look, there's Joey.
I'm her.
You get to hear it all right now.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, bud.
So I need a sugar to
Okay, why don't you get an ice? That'll help. He found bonked his lip.
Oh.
That's tough. I know.
Hmm.
So that's just kind of how mother life goes, and you just saw the reality of life.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just here. So
Wow.
we learn through as they come, learning, understanding what is it that they need. And you can see I'm kind of signing right here because as more children were born, a few were born deaf. Again, they passed the hearing screening at the hospital, and it wasn't till later that I was like, wow, they're really quiet, and wow, they're awesome in this home of complete noise and craziness, and they just sleep through it. I wonder why that is. And then come to find out with more testing, you're like, wow, okay, so deaf. All right, so I guess we're going to be learning some sign language. And all of this comes into place of a caregiver. I think anyone within their heart loves people. And when these people, she turned off my light. Oh, she turned it on. When these people are a part of your family, you have options of what to do, how to love, and they're going to be with you. So you can choose to be mad, to be upset, to be poor me, why me? But in my life, that just wastes a lot of energy and a lot of time in which we could actually implement some things. I know others, they're trying to find the cure. More power to them. Great. They're trying to find the blame or the why. Maybe it was red dye number 5 that started all this. Go for it. I'm like, they're here and they have needs now. So what am I going to learn the skills to best help them? And I'm really great with learning a variety of skills, looking at the research. And like when we started the journey with autism, obviously we started to learn really quickly that research-based was really important. And so we started with ABA. I think that's a fine way to start. Can I finish talking to my friend Brian first?
Sure.
Thank you. So, we started on the trail of ABA, and that was fine, and it worked, and it got my people.
20 minutes?
Yeah, about 25 minutes. Will that be good? Thanks,
Sure.
bud. Sure, he said. I got a sure on that one.
Wow, that's impressive.
So, but we didn't stay there. I knew as developmentally we grow, certain things will shift, and it doesn't mean that one thing gets tossed away or talked down at. It just means maybe we've grown through that part. And so then we learned other types of skills. And I'm a real believer in social connections. I think that all humanity wants to connect, no matter the disability. In fact, that even emphasizes it more to connect. On certain disabilities, yeah, you can see it on their face and physically. And those are almost easier because for most people, there's a compassion there. Yeah, they might stare for a minute, but really it's curiosity and wonder how they do it. I see that they might need help. They're in a wheelchair or blind or deaf because hands are signing. And so, when it's physically present, a lot more people seem to have an open heart to want to help as well. When it's something that's maybe not as physical, where you have mental challenges or things like that are neurological, that are hidden underneath the surface, which just might present itself behaviorally. A lot of people, we have a standard, we have a thing about being kind and courteous to others, and some who might be along that autism spectrum might come off as rude or might come off as not listening and ignoring. But really, maybe after a few questions and you're noticing they're not responding, maybe the next thought should be, I wonder why. There might be something more that I don't know about. And so then to start to extend the grace and mercy versus the judgment. I can't tell you how many times as a caregiver, right? You're in the line at the grocery store, pick a name of a store, and you get old great nosy Nelly who knows how to care and handle for your children and will let you know all of the great information while you're in that 10-minute line, putting up groceries, wrangling children, making sure they don't take any of the candy and all the goodies that are right there. And they're going to give you the great advice. you learn to do a few things. One is my favorite, called smile and nod. It's a great technique. The other one, you do is that when you are in all of that situation and you're doing that, sometimes I just drop my voice and start signing. Whether that's bad or not, what happens. And then they're usually like, oh, and it stops them from making sure they share with me all the great information. You know, caregiving is tough on anyone. And I really think the heart of most people is that they want to try to help.
Sure.
And they don't know how. Their approach might be off, but their heart is good. So as we extend grace and mercy to them, hopefully it's equal. Really, it's about just being a kind, nice neighbor. So in the caregiving world of learning all about this, I wanted to share a little story about my son, Garrett.
If you want to hear more, if you want to hear more, stay right there. I love it. So before we talk about Garrett, let's encourage everyone out there to share this video out with as many people as you can think of. Really want to make this community even larger than what it is. Then, if you would, please also be mindful of that and share as much as you can with as many people as you possible. But also put in your timeline a of a picture of you winking. And when you wink, you begin to understand what makes you unique. And knowing what makes you unique is important, because then you're going to know how to serve someone else. The best way to serve someone else is with what makes you unique. So I'm just so thankful for you all being here. And when you post that picture of you winking in your timeline, you're going to be entered into a raffle. And that raffle is for a free signed copy of my book, Sometimes It Does Take a Brain Surgeon. April, thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you so much, Brian, for bringing me back.
This is awesome. Tell us a little bit more about Garrett.
Okay, so Garrett's story, obviously when he was a little kid, born, great, everything's going along fine. And then we see some developmental challenges happening, and he's not really hitting some of the milestones. And the long story short of that is that he was diagnosed with autism. And along the spectrum of autism, we have things like Asperger's, mid-functioning, low-functioning, all of these different terms. Basically, it's really the challenge of trying to understand the communication and how he interprets the world, how we all interpret the world, and how we together can interpret the world. So within this, we went from headbanging and screaming, no language, up to age 4, until he finally understood what language was and started to communicate. But really, when he picked up a pencil for him, wow, the artwork really started to express so much about his feelings, his emotions, and his needs. So that was a great way to communicate. Through elementary school, he was the fruit bat, and he walked around on all 4 legs. And
are you serious?
I'm serious, yes. First grade, he was the fruit bat, and then that eventually started to change, and he's always adored animals, creations. He has a zoo that's put down all together. It is now 120 feet in length.
Wow.
So it's poster boards that are taped together with all of the animals that he would like in this zoo. And then it's, morphed and evolved into dinosaurs, and now he's creating movies. So, his art form is a way to express himself. But what's deep about Garrett is that he has a heart that's full of love, and you can see the innocence within that. He's probably going to stay at 8, right? And yet he has this wisdom and this level of relationship and love that is very deep. Not in the way that we would think kind of traditionally with a husband and wife relationship, but how he understands connections with the family and what he wants in his future. It's really beautiful. And part of this story is, I know I shared it last time. I was married to my first husband and had 5 children with my first husband. He was abusive and dangerous. He had bipolar schizophrenia, which all came out in his early 20s. And we know that genetically schizophrenia can be passed. And so I was definitely hypervigilant on my first 5 children. Possibly, this might be something that we might see later on. Well, we did with Garrett when he was around 18, almost 19 years old.
Where is Garrett in line?
Garrett is number 2. I'll show you a picture.
Okay.
So this is Garrett.
Right okay. So how old is he?
He is now 21.
Wow.
Yeah. And when he went through that episode of what I call walking through his shadows, it was tough because I didn't know if we would ever get Garrett back, so to speak, right? Because with autism, you kind of learn these things where they have a world that's very real and exciting, and it's a place of their creation. It might look different for many people that are on the autism spectrum. How they think, how they communicate, if they think in pictures or in words, or you've probably heard it expressed lots of different ways. But this was a place for him, his world, his fantasy place, the dinosaurs, the zoo, all of these things that were in his mind. And he would visit them all the time. But when he needed to attend school, or if we're doing a chore together, I can just call his name and he's like, yep. He kind of leaves the world, comes, does the things that needs to happen. And he's like, are we finished? Basically asking, can I go back to my world? Sure. So we were used to that. But what we were not expecting was when this world of his split open into a very dark place. This has always been a place of retreat and happiness for him. And it became very dark, and these hallucinations started. And can you imagine that if you've had a world of your imagination that's comforting, that's filled with excitement and love, to all of a sudden have the bad guy move in? It's very disturbing. And, that's kind of the simple way to describe this. And finding doctors, and eventually we did have to use medication just because of the intensity for what was happening in his mind. Some people understand schizophrenia, and it has itself a spectrum where some people who are within that world, that is the world, and they don't come back and forth between their delusions. There is no delusion in their world. You all live in a delusion, right? So there's different extremes on it. And for Garrett, he's one that the medicine helps to calm that dark place for him. And yet, and his dark place, it sounds kind of funny, it's called a pink. Pinks are his bad guys. Okay. So, yeah, we kind of go.
Is that his name?
That's his naming. Yeah, that's how he identified it. And so, and now through communication, when the pinks are happening, I mean, I can see through his body language that kind of, I'll just say like an attack is happening. We can talk through it. And for Garrett, a distraction is usually best, where we usually just leave the home together, go on a walk, and I start pointing out the different things. And usually, there's an animal. He can name, label, identify this type of hawk, this type of pingree that's flying around. I mean, and it starts to surface him back, and the pinks start to kind of quiet down a little. His work right now, which is so important to him, is creating these movies. So he has this idea that if everyone in the world gets to see the movie that he's creating, everyone will learn what peace is, everyone will learn what happiness is, and there will be no more evil in the world. Well, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So he really works daily on pictures, creations, animations. I feel like I live in Peter Jackson's Weta studio or something, because there are concept drawings, and then the sculptures, and then the frame by frame animations, and now he's putting them into computer. I mean, yeah, wow. It's amazing.
So what happens when you're not around?
That's a great question. So Garrett has a small circle of trust, which is basically this family that we have, and he's never really far from any of us. And, that works right now. But what if, right? I don't live in a bubble that is like, well, this is the plan for life. and close my eyes to it. No, this caregiver knows that this caregiver is not going to live forever. And this caregiver knows that the rest of the children eventually will leave the nest. And this caregiver knows that there's got to be a bigger plan. So that's why I write my books. That's why I sell my ghostwriting services and stack up things, because I want to create a home for him that we control, that we run, that we hire the right people for him. Because I don't know who else could really understand, you know, how he looks and views at life. And so this would take some training, I think, because on the surface, the things that he talks about, many people would probably want to try to squish that down. Like, that's not right. That's not the reality. Let's try something else. But we're like, actually, you know, when you've learned how they communicate and understand with their world, you want to create something that can really be there. And of course, he understands that life happens without the house, like outside of the house. He understands that, and we go on trips and travel, so he's aware of many things. And I just, you know, want that opportunity for him to continue forward. And like I said, his brothers and sisters are amazing, and they give great support, but they also have their lives and their families, as they should, sure. Right? So, sure. You know, I think that's one thing about caregivers. When you're in the moment of caring, you're here. And yet the demand for your future and their future is very real. So you do have to make plans. And there isn't anything like, great, now this is the time set aside to make this plan. Perfect. Now we'll move into this next cubicle. Mm-hmm. Have you seen through this interview? We've had different people flow in and out. Yeah, that's not life.
Where did everybody go?
You just said it. Now they came back. Ryan called him back.
Uh-huh. It's all my fault.
There he is.
What's his name?
This is Scott Joseph, and we call him Scooter Joe, SJ. He's probably got the most names because he's the ninth. And Joey and JoJo. So yeah.
And Scooter Joe.
And Scooter Joe.
And Scooter Joe.
Awesome.
And he gets that nickname because he was born in 3 hours.
Whoa.
That's like, wow, fast. Huh. And careful there, buddy.
So what is Scooter Joe into? I'm sorry, we're getting ready.
Yeah, let's come here, Scooter. Come here. Hop on down. Since you're going to be in here, we might as well talk to you. Hi. I don't know. Let's a few minutes.
Here, I'll go away. You talk.
Should we talk?
You can have a bigger screen.
Okay. We'll talk for a bit. Hey, Scooter, what is some of your favorite things to do?
The computer.
You like to do the computer?
Yes.
Yeah. What are some other fun things you like to do?
Only the computer.
Yeah. How many days old are you? Did we remember looking at that today?
Yes.
Yeah. It was over 2,000 days old. Holy cats. Yeah. So I have a question for you, Scooter. What's 7 plus 7 minus 4 plus 7?
Oh my.
You're going to think about it?
Oh, 10.
10. I think that's 10, huh?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yes, because you said 7 plus 7 minus 4. And there's 3 left.
That is 3 left. You're right. So that's what Scooter likes to do. Oh, how many planets are there in the system, buddy?
8.
And what's your favorite? Earth is his favorite. It's a good place. It's a good place. He loves rockets, space, and he's constantly singing about EY Scooty and all the other big. He's my spaceman and math. He loves all that. It's awesome.
Well, it's nice meeting you, Scotty Joe.
See you later, bud.
Scooter Joe.
About 10 minutes. And here's my signer. My other Rosie. This is Rosie. So Rosie is deaf and she has autism.
All right.
So that's an interesting thing. Oh, she's behind me. There she is. there's Rosie, and her birthday is coming up very soon. How old are you going to be, Rosie? How old are you going to be for your birthday? Are you going to be 10? 10 years old for birthday? Maybe she's going to be 7? 7 years old? Not sure. She's tapping on my back, telling me the numbers of how old she's going to be. So this is Rosie. This is why we moved to Texas. This long right here.
And Rosie's going to be how old?
She'll be 8.
8.
Yep.
Ooh.
8 on my birthday. We share the same birthday in the month of April. She came on my birthday.
Well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Huh. I love it. Very cool. Wow. That's phenomenal.
She's signing to me. She says, when are we going to go shopping and go find all the Easter fun? She's not sure about that answer.
What was the answer?
I told her around 11. So that's pretty close.
Yeah, we're almost there.
We're almost there.
Well, this has been great. So, we're already at 26 minutes. What else about Garrett? I'm intrigued by Garrett. He's your second one, and tell us more about him.
So with Garrett, he's had a really interesting history, and I will say that his faith is amazing. He really understands that there is a creator, and in fact, he has shared. He's like, I've seen this before. Like if we see, ideas about worlds being created, how scientists, animate and try to put these things together, he'll say, that's really close. I've seen this before. And we listen when he shares things like that. We really perk up. Like, wow, he's just very in tune, and he's so kind. And you want to see these dreams and ideas that he have really, really come true. And there's just a slight challenge with it, is that all the creations that he has is definitely hand selected and picked from some of his favorite characters, movies that are all copywritten, right? Disney, Star Wars, Pokemon, and he's picked all of these different characters, and then he's tweaked them to be Garrett style. And he's building this movie, which is amazing, but I don't think, unfortunately, it's ever really going to be able to be seen, and that's hard. And I will say, when we had a conversation like this, I'll probably get emotional, because this was part of where that deep, dark pink came rolling out of. Because in his heart, he just thought, well, everyone loves these characters. Why can't I put them all together and share my story through them? He wouldn't understand why a lawyer is suing him because Disney, you're right.
Sure.
You're stuck. And so as a mom, your heart breaks to watch him spend hours. But, there might be a time where the things that they love can be showcased, because they are incredible. And it's not like, oh yeah, that's mom talking. They're amazing. They really move people when he shows them. And I think it's the communication that he has. And when you see where he could not communicate for so long, to now communicate, and not just in full sentences, but in full story, it's obviously very beautiful for this mom to see, because I've got scars all over my arms and my back from him biting me, because I didn't know how to help him or how to serve him. In fact, there was one time when we were driving, and he unbuckled all 5 points of his seatbelt, and he opened up the sliding van, and we're in a canyon. There was no place to pull over, and I had to get him, and I had to put him on my seat and strap him with me till I could get to a place that wasn't on the road as curves are coming where we would have been hit. And we couldn't understand that. It's just, life has been very, very interesting, but it's been so beautiful. When you live with an angel, it is humbling, and it is so motivating, to try to do everything that you can to make sure that his life, when we pass, can continue. And so it's a high motivation for this caregiver.
That is awesome. I love it. What a beautiful story.
I need tissues in here. I've got yogurt cup thingies and some paper.
Well, I didn't do this on purpose. I promise. I promise I want to have you back. So we're at the end of our time, but I want to have you back, and maybe we can talk about the next one.
Sure.
And we'll
9 episodes.
Yeah, right. Well, that's awesome. What a beautiful story, and a great story on here on Good Friday.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me, Brian. Thank you. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for understanding disabilities and understanding the ability within. And I'm just so grateful. Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you. I'm going to close out the show, but before I do, I'm going to put you in the green room. You can hang out there for a little bit, and then
sure.
It's been 10 minutes.
It's been 10 minutes.
It's been 10 minutes.
All right, Scotty Joe. Be right back.
Okay.
Oh, wow. What a story. What a movement. It's great to have April on and to hear her story about Garrett and to hear about more of her kids coming up. So, Scotty Joe, I'm going to get back to them and say goodbye. But make sure that you're here next week for the Vision Alignment. So we've got a great show coming up for you next week. Next Monday, remember, we have coming on, and we just talked about this, we have Kara Soletto with Magnet Culture, and then we have Roy Tuscany, who talks about his vision alignment in regards to disabilities, but he has his vision aligned with his abilities, aligned with his core beliefs and his core goals. So there's so much there to be thankful for. So thank you all for this. Thank you for a great Good Friday. Thank you for a happy Easter weekend. I know it's all going to be great. And as always, I just appreciate you all being on. So thank you very much. And as always, keep one eye on the road.